It is now official. $85 million from the federal budget is gone, and it's going to hurt here in New Mexico and all around the country, too.
Yeah, we probably won't feel these cuts for another few weeks, but legislators here say if the cuts are not headed off, the extra $200 million they thought they had for the state's budget could be gobbled up trying to cover the loss of federal funds. The White House estimates 7,000 Department of Defense civilian workers in New Mexico could be furloughed, and military bases in the state face $43 million in direct cuts. Now, the FAA says it may even have to close air traffic controlled towers at smaller airports around the nation, including Santa Fe, Roswell, Hobbs, and the Double Eagle Airport in Albuquerque. The state is set to lose about $10 million in federal education funds and money to pay about 130 teachers. Congressional leaders of both parties will meet with the president again today, but there are no signs of a deal.
And if you want to give one congresswoman your 2 cents about these budget cuts, today is your chance. Congresswoman Michelle Lujan Grisham here will be in Torrance County today at the Esperanza Family Medical Clinic. It's at 11:30 this morning. The Torrance County Senior Program at 12:15 and the Head Start Torrance at 1:30. These are all places that could be directly affected by the budget cuts. Again, you can go there, tell her what you think of them. And the rest of New Mexico's congressional delegation has a lot to say about these cuts. Senator Martin Heinrich and Congressman Ben Ray Lujan here, both Democrats, say they are frustrated and disappointed. They both blame Republicans for refusing to budge more on tax increases for wealthy Americans. Then there's Representative Steve Pierce here, who's a Republican. He says he opposes the sequester, but he does think the cuts should affect everyone equally. The Democratic Senator Tom Udall, right here, says we should expect to start to feel the impact of all of this in just a couple of weeks. Elizabeth.
Senator Tom Udall is proposing legislation that he hopes will protect health and physical education classes from budget cuts. Udall says his bill would classify health and PE as core subjects and would make them eligible for federal education funding and support. Now, with increased childhood obesity and diabetes rates, Udall says the need for this bill is greater than ever. New Mexico lawmakers are calling a system that grades public schools on individual performance flawed. Right now, schools are mostly graded from student test performances. But under a state Senate proposal, only 1/3 of a school's grade would come from standardized testing. The rest would come from a combination of other factors, including attendance and college readiness. Public Education Secretary designate Hanna Skandera says the new plan would put New Mexico at risk of losing millions of dollars in federal funds.
And Hanna Skandera there, the woman Governor Martinez wants to lead the state's education department, is finally set to have a confirmation hearing on this today, 2 years after she's been on the job. Ms. Skandera will be in front of the Senate Rules Committee in just a few hours. She has run the education department since Governor Martinez took office in 2011, but Democrats in the Senate have not had a hearing to confirm or reject her. The state's constitution says the education secretary must be a, quote, qualified, experienced educator. However, Ms. Skandera has never been a teacher or an administrator and has clashed with many of them here in New Mexico. We'll be there and let you know what happens. A bill that is meant to close a loophole in New Mexico's prostitution law, all about the case of a former UNM president, is now on its way to the state Senate. The House passed this yesterday. It would make running a prostitution website or a forum against the law. It would close a loophole. It's at the center of F. Chris Garcia's case. You remember he used to be UNM's president. He's now charged with promoting prostitution after investigators say he played a key role on a website that connected Johns and prostitutes. It's called Southwest Companions. But a district judge and later the state Supreme Court just recently ruled that the way the law is right now, the house of prostitution must be a physical place. This bill would affect future cases and not Mr. Garcia's. All right, it has happened again here in New Mexico. Another group of high school athletes now accused of hazing younger players. Sources tell us 2 basketball players from Raton High School sexually abused 3 younger players on a bus earlier this month. The district superintendent says the older players were suspended for a couple of days, then allowed to play the rest of the season. Now, you might remember another case of high school hazing that's been in the news a lot recently. It's from Los Lunas, where 2 football players sodomized other players at Valencia High School. This was in 2010. Those 2 ended up pleading guilty to criminal charges. They're now on probation.
6:36 is now the time. You know, spring is quickly approaching, really just 20 days away, if you believe it. And it means that now's the time to try to get your lawns and yards green. However, water wasters, you're going to want to watch out.
Because starting today, the fines for wasting water in Albuquerque and Bernalillo County, get this, they are doubling, and there are going to be more people out there to catch you very soon. News 13's David Romero is live in Southwest Albuquerque with all the details. So, David, how are these fines going to work?
Well, Matt, they're going to start out in increments, but they are going to get pretty hefty. And according to the Water Utility Authority's website, they say they start out at $40 and they could go all the way to $4,000. And why the drastic steps, you ask? Well, you can thank the drought here in New Mexico and the country, and rather the one that the country is currently going through as well. Now, the Albuquerque-Bernalillo County Water Utility Authority says under normal conditions, the fines would only start out at $20. But with rain and snowfall well under averages for the last few years, water is quickly becoming a more precious resource than ever. Since today is March 1st, the Water by the Numbers program is officially underway, with homeowners being allowed to water only 1 day a week. Don't expect any end in sight for the drought.
But as to looking ahead to monsoon season, where we could really gain some ground, it's too early to tell what kind of monsoon season is going to be at this point. But we really need a good monsoon season followed up by a good winter storm season to really get ourselves completely out of the drought that we're in right now.
And if you see a water waster in your area, the Water Utility Authority wants to hear from you. They have a hotline set up where you can call in and report somebody wasting the water. That is 768-3640. Matt, back to you.
All right, thank you very much for that information, David. Now, that's not the only hotline the Water Authority has set up. If you own a home and you're looking to get rebates for saving water, you can find out how to do this. Call 768-3655. I did a little research on this yesterday, Ms. Alvarez, and if you get a low-flow toilet, you put some thermostats on your swamp coolers or do a couple other things, you can get a rebate anywhere from $20 to, I think, $150 on your water bill.
Seriously, I got to look into this. Got my water bill. It was $20 more than it was the previous month.
All right, you need to start conserving, young lady.
Yep.
All right, 6:30.